Final Fantasy is the reason I like Souls. It wasn't my first RPG though. That was Paper Mario. But Final Fantasy X is what sealed my fate as a nerd. I loved that game, so naturally, I had to try the other 9. I convinced my mom to take me to the game store, where she bought me Final Fantasy VII. The cashier told us this was some serious shit. He was right. I got stuck after you leave Midgar, because the disc was really scratched up and would freeze every time. But those first 4 hours changed my life forever. If it wasn't for Final Fantasy, I would have never become a cave dweller. So today I'm asking the only question that matters. Can I beat Dark Souls 3 as Tifa Lockhart? So, what can you expect from this run? I'm mostly going to use fist weapons with the occasional spell. No shield, but I do have an idea for that. I'm going to dress like Tifa even if it holds our build back in some way, and there will be summons. But don't worry, I solo a lot of the bosses too. I went with the warrior because I figured it could punch pretty good. We pick grenades as our starting item, and unequip everything that isn't very Tifa. Fighting the enemies here was a complete waste of time if you're me, but not as much time as I wasted learning to parry Gundy. Parrying in Dark Souls 3 is way different than parrying in Dark Souls 1. It requires a lot more practice and patience. My strategy was simple. Parry, riposte, firebomb, panic roll. If I had used the firebombs exclusively, I could have made this easier on myself, but I just didn't wanna. Oh, and every time I died, I made a new Tifa to get the firebombs back. Eventually I locked in on the timing. For a moment there, I daydreamed about becoming a speedrunner, but then I got post-fight clarity and realized I never want to do that again. We made it to Firelink, but I still have to suffer a little longer until we get our first fist weapon. I said hey to Aerith, got what items I could, caught up with Sephiroth, and sold everything that didn't vaguely resemble something that Tifa would carry. I'm gonna be doing this pretty much the entire run. If it doesn't fit the spirit of Tifa, then it's gotta go. I should have put all the souls into health, but I desperately wanted to make our hands more viable. After that, we set off for Lower Midgar. Fun fact, I had already completed this area, but I wasn't recording when I beat Vort. I was left with 2 options, and I hated both of them. I could either move on and never show you what happened, or restart the run. You know which one I picked. The fresh start was pretty cool though. I was finally used to this awful build. When I went back to record Sector 7, I saw a couple party members on the ground. I said, what the hell? Sure. Wing Knight and 12, 12, 12, 12. Or maybe it was 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Next thing I know, we're getting invaded by someone named Elia Lightfall. I had no weapon, so I kind of just accepted my fate. But when they found me, they just ran past me like I wasn't there. They seemed chill. They said, let's go, and I told them lead the way. All this excitement had me stunned and not sure what to do in regards to the run, but I had to see it through. 12, 12, 12, 12 tried to fight them, but I told bro to chill and that they were on our side. The rogue invader led us back to Wing Knight, and at this point I really didn't know what to do. I completely lost control of this run, so I did the only thing I could. I kept going. This is all canon if you ask me. Lightfall wasn't helping us fight. They were just kind of watching the show. At one point, I was fighting an axe guy, and 12, 12, 12, 12 was spamming parries to no avail. He died shortly after. I grabbed the important stuff and we left. Watching Wing Knight on Wing Knight violence was a bizarre phenomenon, but I was completely here for it. We secured the shortcut and fought our way to the boss. I summoned Lion Knight Albert to add to the chaos, and that's exactly what happened because they tried to kill Delia. I told our new friend goodbye and they said it was very emotional. The fight itself was complete buns. I was only doing about 6 damage per swing. When I beat Vort by myself, I used firebombs the entire time, and I lost a lot of souls along the way. Somewhere in the middle of trying a million times is where I forgot to hit record. But honestly type shit, I like this version better. This is exactly where we wanted to be for 2 reasons. First off, this is where the weapon is, and secondly, this is where we get Vivi.
Grant me death.
The dogs chewed my cheeks off all the way to the bonfire, so I didn't get to rest. I just made a break for it. My strategy of running past everything was working. After that, we made a detour to save what's-his-face. He's gonna sell us some new materia later. Freshly Squo's plunge attack, and then we finally get our first weapon of the run, the Cestus. We were no longer useless. I mean, I'm still completely useless, but this imagining of Tifa is not. The Cestus is a quality weapon, meaning it scales mid in both dex and strength. We're gonna lean into strength because Oonga Boonga, strength make number go up. Now some of you may be thinking, why not just do a heavy infusion then? Well, my plan was to keep these normal so I could take advantage of elemental weaknesses. Was this a good idea? Probably not. We were finally doing damage, and it was super lit. I was 3 hours into recording so far, so for me this is when the run actually began. We don't have a shield, but what's cool about the cestus is it kind of locks enemies up. I got the shitty ring and put it on. Back in Undead Burg, I took advantage of our grenades and blew these bad guys to smithereens. This time, I actually fought my way through instead of running past everything. I grabbed all the necessities, by which I mean every single item in the area, then I took a sketchy Uber down to rock bottom. I befriended Titan, met up with Barret, and together we faced Ifrit. Ifrit is weak to lightning, so I ran in and beat his balls like a punching bag. We took a nap because this next part sucks. We can't skip it though because this is where we get the staple ring for our build. Flynn's ring make number go up the lower our weight percentage is. It caps around 15%. We don't even get it close to that. And later we find out even more disappointing things about it. We made our way down to find Yuna. I wasn't sure what spells we would be using in the end, plus I like it when Firelink has a bunch of NPCs around. I leveled up our weapon and unlocked a new materia slot. For some reason I felt the need to get that out of the way now. This MF tried to get in my way, but nothing could stop me from getting our first bone shard. The hardest part about the tree fight was getting close enough with the cestus. We were rocking a hitbox the size of a Zen, and our L1 attack is a 2-hit combo that locks you into punching the air, which is exactly what I would have done if we died. But we didn't. And though I wanted to, instead I went back to Firelink and unlocked another materia slot. Again, I don't know why I did this, we haven't used a single spell yet. I murdered several NPCs just for sport, and eventually caught up to Biggs and Wedge. Barret wasn't here, but I'm sure he'll show up soon. Every time I leveled up strength, I got a little more discouraged. The cestus was practically begging me to level up Dex, but you couldn't pay me to do that. Actually, you could. Please like and subscribe. Our time in the swamp wasn't too bad. We were safe as long as I could keep the enemy staggered. Hazel was still dangerous, but it felt good to take her out so easily. This time bro over here just accepted his fate and didn't even try to solve my ladder puzzle. I level intelligence to 10, and we learned 2 new spells, Cure and Fyra. I saved Orbeck, but we won't be using any of his spells in this run. At the time, it felt like a stretch to use Cure, but later in the run, we get an item called the Crystal Chime, which lets you cast sorceries and miracles. Now hear me out. The first, 4 or 5 Final Fantasies all revolve around crystals holding the power of magic, and that's how you were able to use certain magic. So the idea of Tifa using something that's made of crystal feels pretty canon in my opinion. It might not be Final Fantasy VII lore, but I thought it was pretty cool. In Firelink, we upgrade everything and get the poison spell. When I fought the Crystal Sage, I didn't know how it was gonna go. Normally this fight sucks for me, but I got the ideal starting move. You want them to cast this spell in particular, because you can manipulate their AI and stop them from teleporting as long as those crystals stay above their head. This allowed me to take out over half their health bar in the first cycle. With all that out of the way, it was time to do something I could have done sooner but didn't feel like it. We were gonna get our in-game pants. Here, from the Black Knight. When I looked it up, they said there was about a 2% drop rate. I don't know how true that is, because I got them on my 3rd or 4th try. I snagged the DLC Bonfire out of habit, but our focus was on Bavel. Fyra was super useful against whatever the hell these things are called. The Crystal Lizard was fun to fight. The roof was not fun to do, but we made it without dying, so that's a W. While we were here, we picked up Lloyd's sword ring, one of my favorites. It's hard to get the most out of this ring if you're bad at the game, but I was gonna use it anyway. Turns out these things are also super weak to fire. For a second there, Kirk had me thinking I was playing Dead by Daylight. Even though I knew I had iframes, my heart was still racing. He got what he wanted, but I had the last laugh. I summoned Biggs and Wedge, and then get them to help me clear out the area. We're gonna fight the boss solo, but I could never pass up a chance to fight with Team Avalanche. Sid put a Kate Sith on me, so I went back home to level up and start carrying a second ether. We also upgraded our weapon again. Before I fight the Skeleton Lords, I wanted to clear up the rest of the church and meet Rosaria, just in case we ever wanted to respec. It's also important for saving Barret later. The Deacon fight started off well. I got super close, but then 20,000 fireballs came out of nowhere, and I died. This was as infuriating as it was embarrassing. But then we won, and set off to do Miyazaki stuff. For some reason, I decided to do this place backwards, and it's become my new favorite way to do things. You knock out the most annoying tower first while avoiding the demon thing, get the Hazel fight over with, grab the bone shard, and boom, you're safe at this bonfire. Just like that, we've already crushed 2/3 of this place. We cleared up the front area, but it wasn't long before I went back to the bar so we could get more high potions and level up. The Stray Demon was actually a really fun encounter. Another enemy that's weak to lightning. After we bust his balls, it was time to leave the swamp and enter the abyss. They did not like the idea of me in their room. I wanted to be cool and learn some of the parries for this fight, but to my disappointment, I found out that you cannot parry with the cestus because it has a weapon skill. Editor Eladonka here. You actually can parry with the cestus. You just have to equip it in your left hand, then it lets you do it. I wish I knew this earlier because now I have to change a couple more lines in the script. But anyway, back to the run. I got through the first phase, but once he went Super Saiyan, I just couldn't keep up. My second attempt went even worse, so I went home to learn a new spell. This has nothing to do with the Abyss Watchers fight. I was just letting you know. But more importantly, we stocked up on more charcoal resin, as the Abyss Watchers are weak to fire. I went back in for more and died again. But then the third time, I finally locked in and figured out how to do this fight. As I'm typing this, I haven't retained any of this knowledge, and I'm not looking forward to learning it again. I K'd my S several times. Vivi felt bad for me and gave me 5 levels. The levels made Tifa so ugly that Vivi died. That made Scarlet show up, and she sells the Dark Hand. This is something that I thought would be cool for the build, but turned out to be the worst play of the entire run. I wanted to use it as Tifa's only way to block, but it only got me killed and made me buy 1,000 purging stones. I'll put a counter on screen for every time I had to use one. We met up with Sid, died for the shitty ring, then made our way to the catacombs. I always lose steam in this place, but this time was different. There was something really special here waiting for us. First I met up with Biggs, then I ran into Cloud, but I had to kill him because he was having a Mako moment. Our Earth spell got its time to shine, and then we faced the worst boss in the game. There really isn't much to say. I punched his ice until he died. We get some more endurance, then it's time to claim the real prize. I got Ifrit to kill the Mimic for me, then I punched its balls with lightning until it gave me its soul. This is what we came here for, and we're gonna make good use of it very soon. It's panic roll time. While I was down here, I found Wedge, and he had completely lost his mind and tried to kill me. I had no choice but to put him down. It didn't feel good, and I could never let Biggs know, but I couldn't think about that right now. We left the red zone and made it to the blue zone. I died twice immediately. I found Lightning, and I helped her kill Peak Souls 2 guy. I don't blame her, that game's not for everybody. But neither is 13, to be fair. For our efforts, we get the cat ring, but more importantly, that soul of a demon we got unlocks the demon fist. This is the last weapon we'll be getting on this run, but these things are beast. They do inherent fire damage, so we never need to buy charcoal resin again. If something is resistant to fire, then that's where the cestus comes in. It would be nice to have one for each element, but we can only get one per game cycle as far as I know. I died to the worm, called in some party members, and started clearing out the dungeon. I specifically summoned them for this part, to be honest. My fun would come to a steaming halt the moment we got invaded by Havilaz. I knew based off the name alone that whatever awaited me wasn't good. I have no shield, and poise is a coping mechanism. How was I going to face a sentient Havil? I didn't mean for this to be a gank fight, but it had to be this way. I tried to poison him and got really close. He was impressed, but I got stuck in a corner with a bad camera angle. This would become my grave. I got back to work, but Havilaz invaded me again, which is weird because I thought there was supposed to be like a cooldown timer or something. Anyway, I wanted to progress this run, but I wasn't gonna Alt F4 on this guy, so I just let him do whatever he was gonna do. He killed Cloud, naturally, then started beating me to death. Or at least that's what I thought was happening. He was actually pushing me to continue the path. I was ready for him to betray me at any moment, but he won my trust when he gave me 5 embers. I thanked him, although he wanted me to fight Cloud for his amusement. I didn't have any alluring skulls, so I had to do this the old-fashioned way. I fumbled, and ran out of high potions. I wasn't sure what to do, but our new party member showed me something brilliant that I never knew existed. He lured the Black Knight into the room with us, and started to fight Cloud for me. This was a Souls moment for sure. I thanked Havilaz and told him goodbye. I got really emo about it next to this rock, and I randomly got a bone shard. This cheered me up, so I gathered the squad and went in to face the final Ifrit. Bro is weak to lightning, so we used the cestus for this fight. It went really well. I get funny moments from fighting with summons, but on the other hand, there's the spectacle of suffering and overcoming a challenge. So my question to you is, what do you think about me using summons for these runs? Maybe I should save them for dungeons only and never use them in boss fights. Barbecue Daddy unlocks the Comet spell for us. Went back to Luca and was shocked to find out how effective we were against the enemies here. Tifa beat the daylights out of these chop shits. I killed the Shinra spy that was hunting Biggs, and that made Scarlet really mad. So I used L1 to end her life. Back in Mount Lava Lava, we get the Poison 2 spell. I hate this next part. I've already said too much about it. At this point, I was inching my way closer to using new spells and getting more stamina, because 90% of my runs are me guessing on what to do next. I summoned Biggs and the other one to face Sullivan. This was the most Final Fantasy fight yet. I didn't like how close I had to get to him, because I've never mastered his moveset, so we took a research death. The second attempt brought us down to our last high potion, but this time we got him, and I spent his soul on more strength. The game was briefly fun again, but then I got interrupted by Sang and Rude. The Turks had killed me, so I started my revenge arc. Tifa returns. Never have I felt the nostalgia more than in this run. For some reason, I just kept dying up here. I had to do the run back of shame way too many times, and to make things worse, I got invaded. I was in no mood, so we played a game of prop hunt. It turns out I was invaded by 2 guys, but the game didn't tell me. Needless to say, they found me. So I went on back and killed all the witnesses. I was completely ran through at this point, so I went back home for some me time, then blew my geek bar into the face of death. It took more than a few tries, and I think I hate this area now, but eventually I got the right RNG for the poison to work and not die. The second Bloodborne enemy got stuck behind a pillar, and I took full advantage of that, but the best time to strike is when it gets Lightning Mouth. We got the FAP ring, but it does almost nothing for Flynn's ring, which is disappointing, because that's the only reason I came down here. Oddly enough, Havel's ring is the same way, it just doesn't help. Hey, sorry, I gotta interrupt again. After doing some of my own testing later after the run, I didn't see any results from increasing vitality all the way to 99. I'm not sure if it's a bug or a translation issue, but the attack only seems to go up based off the actual equip load. It doesn't seem to react much to the percentage there. You're gonna see me put a couple points into vitality throughout the run. When I respec'd, we got 5 levels back, and we could still fast roll, so we didn't miss out on too much. But I definitely could have used him on some of those late game fights. Anyway, I had the warmest welcome in the sewer level here. At this point in the run, I was going through embers and stones like crazy, and it was only gonna get worse. I forgot to put on the cat ring, so I had to do it while the Titan was trying to pancake me. Upgraded the Cestus, completely skipped this content, spent more souls, then freed Barrett and Lulu. To free Lulu, I had to use earth magic on these enemies while keeping my distance. Eventually she will sell us the bravery materia, but we don't have the stats to use it yet. So it's time to do Barrett's side quest. He wanted to face Dyne alone, but I couldn't stand back and watch. Although, maybe I should have never got involved, because I couldn't save Barrett. Dyne had killed him. This was devastating for me, but I had to finish what I started for Barrett. I killed Dyne and mourned my friend. We leveled up, killed another Bloodborne enemy, stocked up on supplies, leveled up again, and ran headfirst into another fight that haunts my dreams. I died a lot, and tried a lot of different things. Aldrich is weak to fire, so we had a good weapon. We just didn't have the heart. Well, we had the heart, we just didn't have the talent. Thanks to the power of free will and YouTube, I discovered the ultimate strategy to avoid the raining arrow move. All you need to do is run around one of these pillars and hope for the best. This maneuver here changed my whole perspective of the fight, and I no longer fear it. Dancer, on the other hand, is a different story. I hate that fight, so I bailed. Traded 2 high potions for 2 ethers, then traded them back because what the fuck was I thinking? I can't tell you what I learned from this fight, because I forgot it immediately after it was over. Before Midgar, we're gonna go on a side quest to kill the dragon, named after a skate shoe. This fight went the same way it always does. I ran around this room 4 minutes longer than I wanted. On the way to Gundy 2, I got caught lacking. Also, Sephiroth was there. We didn't need his help, I just brought him here for the bit. I love this part of the game. Hopefully one day I can do a run that comes here early. I daydreamed about that as I watched these 2 Shinra die a slow death. I'm not sure if I'm the first person to do this glitch right here, but I'm going to claim I am until someone corrects me. This has become my new favorite way to deal with the dragons. It did all the work as I watched. When it was no longer of use to me, I killed it. I couldn't resist leveling up again. I thought I made a big play when I tried to use the Sunlight Sword for just its buff, but we lacked the dex required to wield it. This was mildly annoying, but I got the Night Ring and praised the sun, which put me in a better mood. The Dragon Slayer fight went very well. I punched his health over halfway down in the first 30 seconds. I really didn't need Egan's help. He arguably made the fight harder. I almost one-cycled the Crystal Sage, but he didn't do the attack we needed. We settle for the 2-cycle, get a good ring, buy a bunch of spells that I didn't need whatsoever, and wasted precious sands of time that I'll never get back just for a ring that no one ever uses. And that weird bug happened again. This time I'm going to fight the 3 jealous griefers. These 3 motherfuckers were a pain in the back of my right ball. When I finally managed to separate one of them, they killed me, and then emoted on my corpse. I tried a couple more times, hoping poison would be the answer. But it wasn't until we 1v1'd on Rust that I made some serious headway. When I rode back up, the mage was trapped behind the cage thing, which let me take out the Dark Souls 2 fan. After that, I poisoned the mage and took this opportunity to eat my Taco Bell. My nacho fries were getting cold, and they're really not very good when they're cold, and that's the whole reason I got Taco Bell in the first place. The mage died. This cage feels super Final Fantasy though, and you could compare this little spell right here to something like Holy. This part had me in full clinch mode, and the payoff's not worth it if you ask me. I fought through all these guys on my first playthrough back in 2016, so there's no reason to fight them now. Let's just get to the elevator and prepare for the Seymour fight. To do that, we get a slab and max out the Demon Fist. I accidentally rode the elevator down instead of up, which made me want to stop this run and play another game. I've been playing a lot of that Far Cry 3. They got achievements now, 10 years later. Orbeck joins our party to face Seymour with us. The Seymours were weak to lightning, but the Cestus fell off a long time ago. The voices in my head were telling me I should have put more points into Dex, and maybe Orbeck was making the fight harder than it needed to be. I thought I would come up with a fun narrative for Orbeck, but I didn't. So here we are. With the Seymours defeated, it was time for an even harder fight. Not this one. I tried to do the dragon cheese glitch for about 30 minutes. Eventually I said fuck it. Later in the run, I tried to plunge another enemy and it didn't work. Maybe it's just not possible with a fist weapon. Our level ups are beginning to plateau, and a lot of souls were wasted on spells and purging stones. On the way to Nameless King, I tried to think of a plan, and nothing ever came of it. I waited for a summon like a big casual baby, and while I was waiting, I got invaded by Indigo Jones. I totally had this coming, but I didn't want to fight. I just wanted to get past this part as soon as possible. We sat for a while saying nothing, but our actions were worth 1,000 words. I asked him to leave, but he wanted to fight. I refused, and we were left at an impasse. Since they wanted to fight so bad, I asked them if they would join me in mine. To my surprise, they accepted. I buffed up, then we went in. The first phase wasn't hard in a staying alive sense. It was mostly difficult trying to hit the bird without getting in a fight with the air. This fight is where getting locked in animations really held me back. I had the occasional good opportunity, and we beat this guy's pet to death in front of him. From enemy to ally, I said goodbye to Indigo Jones, and spent the souls on health. It's time for the DLC. This had many ups and downs. Mostly downs, but that's okay. This time I remembered to fight the wolf. I beat the shit out of that freak with no pants on, but the wolf broke my ankles beyond belief, so I'm gonna worry about this later. I don't know what to say right here. It's all led up to this. I kill every single bird here, including the Corvian Knight. I tried to throw a comment at this one, but I just couldn't line it up, so I played them like dummies and bailed. Sir Simphelm is Lady Unalesca's watchdog, so I had to put him down. A lot of my levels from here on were going to Vitality. I was desperately trying to get more out of Flynn's ring. Right before the big fight, I saw a party member named Polaris. That's a cool band, so I naturally had to summon them. I brought this up earlier, but I do regret using a summon here. Sure, it would have been balls hard, but it leaves me with less to say about the fight. We distracted Freed and got hits when we could. This will be my last run where I do it this way. I'm really sorry about this. Unalesca had been defeated, and really good rings await us, along with a lot of enemies and a lot of deaths. With the angels defeated, I got the FAP ring +3. Fighting the Pyromancer lady was hands down the most frustrating part of this entire run. I got to use Comet a couple times, and that was cool, and then I did a sweet plunge attack that quickly lost its luster when I did it 6 more times. On one of my attempts, I clipped through the wall and thought I could cheese her, but she had been playing that new Indiana Jones. I don't know how many tries later, but I got her, and I didn't get anything cool as a reward. Now that's a Souls moment. I think it goes without saying the Cestus was our only option for the demon fight. The boys killed their demon first, which made phase 2 really hard. We were hanging in there, but then they died on me. I was only a couple L1s away, but died at the last second. Our next attempt was also a disaster. My party was a bunch of dumbasses and kept running into my repost opportunities. Luckily, he was left wide open while casting Meteor. We had finally made it to Xanarkand. I left immediately. We had souls to spend. Okay, just like last time. Lizard, ladder, leave. I died twice to Midir. The magical spot of safety was just not working today. It was worth the wait though. Wow, this place looks awesome like this. I needed embers. I had died too many times on this run. They were all gone, even the ones you can buy, so I had to farm Lothric Knights. On my journey, I found that this specific instance of this enemy doesn't drop embers, so you should 100% never fight this enemy for any reason. It wouldn't be Final Fantasy without a good grind, but something about grinding items while working on a video sucks all the fun right out of it. I did this until I went to work that day and farmed some more when I got back. After several hours of Dark Souls 3, I had a whopping 7 embers, and I was beyond ready for this to be over, so I set off for Midgar. But then, I remembered the wolf existed, so I went to beat his ass instead. Somehow, I was able to get poison going. In the middle of the fight, the wolf got super high. Its eyes turned red, and I went from 11 high potions to just 5 in a matter of seconds. I really don't think the game needed this boss, or the next boss we're about to fight. I had fun with this ring knight, but then the sparkle in my eye would quickly burn out once I faced Altergeist, Later, and Balance. I never thought I'd say this, but I miss Half-Light. Eventually, I had the perfect round where I was able to kill the Painted Guardian and lock up Later. While waiting on Midgar, I got to play another round of prop hunt, only this time they didn't find me and went home. It was finally time. Tamaya joined our party. I tried to summon another party member, but they left once they realized we were fighting Midgar. I don't blame them. I didn't want to do this either. Well, here we go. I had some good RNG that let me beat the legs up without him jumping away. He got me with the fire, but having as much strength as we do really helps with that. I want to get better at fighting the head, and I plan to try on my next run, but here I'm just going to play it safe. I can't stress enough how good this RNG was though. He never did the big laser screen wipe. Got the stagger, and tried to be cool and walk slowly for the repost, but then bro tried to steal the shit, so I had to run in. I thanked him anyway, and then immediately went home to level up. It was time to face Gale, and don't worry, I won't be using any summons for this fight. We're gonna do this one alone, because this is my favorite fight in the game, and I know Tifa can do it. I had destroyed the face 30 bar, causing the summoning of Xanakin to end. There was nothing left. I had 4 embers to work with. I did a couple test rounds to try and get a feel for the fight. I really wanted to figure out the best time to use poison. I also experimented with my rings a lot, and dropped the Cestus to squeeze more out of Flynn's ring. My strategy so far was cast Bravery, unequip the Crystal Chime to lower weight, try to get poison, and then only use the Ember if I got to phase 2. Eventually I mastered the first phase. I knew when to punish and when to roll away. 30 hours in, and I had finally developed patience. However, I had died too many times, so I had to go farm embers again. This time, I tried to apply poison to the Cestus, and it was my worst idea yet. This strategy made me completely forget how to play Dark Souls 3. One time I got pretty far, but ran out of Estus, so I decided to go and get the last one I was missing. I failed this jump 10 times, and some of you are already laughing at me, because there's an illusory wall right here by the bonfire that'll take you right to it. This made me day drink. I had finally given up on Lloyd's sword ring, since I would never have full health for this fight, or any fight for that matter. I died 4 more times. There's just no way I could do it. I just sucked too bad at this game. I'm just cooked chop shit. Is what I would say if I wasn't Tifa fucking Lockhart right now. Everything I had learned led up to this, and I did the entire first phase with all 15 high potions. I cracked the Ember once phase 2 started, and I played the best I ever have in this game. For the Krillin move, you just want to spin him around in a complete 180. When he dives at you like this, is the best time to punish. Same goes for when he's about to bust. For this part of the fight, you can't stop moving. You have to constantly fight and move away from him. The fight was so close I had to break out an elixir. He stopped to bust, and I took the opportunity to feed him my entire stamina bar, ending the fight. This was extremely cathartic to overcome. Next time it'll be Midgar. I spread the ashes of my adversaries, did girl boss shit with Aerith, and made it to the end of the line. Cinder killed me on the first attempt, but that's the nature of this run. So Tifa locked the fuck in, defeated the chosen undead, linked the first flame, and had beaten Dark Souls 3. Howdy, thank you for watching if you made it this far. If you like what you saw, please leave a like or dislike, maybe subscribe, that'd be lit. If you have any suggestions for future runs, leave them down in the comments for me. I've been Ella Donka, have a great day.